All right, welcome in. Cube Show Podcast, college football podcast, comes to you on Sundays. Normally, we had 4-year-old birthday party this weekend. I had spring game in Starkville, a couple other things going on, so we're bumping it back a day. But here we are on Monday, getting you set for a little spring football action. We're going to go into that Mississippi State spring game that I was a part of. Got to talk to some of the staff, got to be around the team. Feeling a little bit better about what I saw, and then we're going to go through some transfers as well. The portal is the numbers are growing, more and more players going in. As far as big name players, maybe not as many as we thought, but I still think there are going to be some that can impact certain teams and some that have already landed that could impact certain teams. One big name, Jaden Rashada, that's in the portal. There are a lot of people that are just plugging him into Georgia. I would sort of wait on that as for right now and tell you that there are some other possibilities that could be strong. I think the Bulldogs are a strong landing spot for Jaden Rashada, but just kind of keep your eyes out on that. Let's go through a couple other portal players quickly. As you guys know, each and every week, we're not going to waste any time. We're going to get right into it. Wickles Pickles, wickedly delicious. Always appreciate them being a sponsor of the show. Go to wickles.com. You can pick yours up. They have a new kind of spicier pickle that's out as well. This is fantastic. You're going to want to go try that. You got the gear. If you want to go get your mug, Wickles mug there, you can do that. A lot of different ways to support Wickles and celebrate Wickles. We appreciate them being a sponsor of the show. All right, Auburn loses wide receiver Jay Fair. This is not a massive hit. I do think it hurts depth. And with the receiving core that does have some uncertainties, you probably didn't want to lose him. More of a catch and run guy. A guy that this Auburn staff has liked for a long time, but probably sees the writing on the wall with some of the younger players coming in and some of the portal players that continue to visit. And I imagine just wonders, all right, how many targets am I going to get? Go ahead and try to find another place to go do that. They get Indiana defensive lineman Philip Bleedy. Bleedy, 8.5 tackles for loss over the last 2 years. Now, I went back, watched the tape. What you get with Bleedy is a big, physical, wide body, lower center of gravity guy, really good at using his hands, kind of good at that strike and shed, playing 2-gap. He can come over and continue to play down 2-3 gaps over at times. Doesn't play a lot of snaps consecutively, but one of those bigger bodies inside that I definitely think Auburn needs. And I think can hold up against SEC competition. I didn't see him displaced out of his gap a whole lot. So I think he's a bigger body that can definitely benefit Auburn this upcoming season, and they need numbers there. Kentucky loses wide receiver Ardell Banks. This is a talented receiver core. I don't think that that's a massive deal. Arkansas loses offensive lineman Paris Patterson. It's a big body. Hadn't played a ton yet. Listen, they probably need guys to compete, but I'm not going to say this is a big loss. Florida State running back Rodney Hill comes in. I do think that he can help. He's got a good burst. Haven't seen a ton of him, but played sparingly last year. And somebody who I think can probably help that Arkansas offense out a little bit to offload some of the carries. Texas A&M gets linebacker Solomon DeShields from Pitt. I like him. He is a big, long linebacker, like a ton of length, so he's going to be good in some of the RPO passing alleys. They blitzed him a little bit last year. Good in pressure situations. He can run, man. Like, he can flat out get it. And you can tell when you see him, he can really move. Now, he doesn't change directions extremely well. So with some of the misdirection, play action stuff, I do think he has a habit of taking himself out of some plays. But if he's just see ball, get ball, he can attack it. 56 tackles last year, 8 for loss. Another thing I like about him, he takes on blocks well. Now, he'll get stuck at times, but he's not a guy that's shying away from contact. That can be a guard, a tackle, a puller, whatever it is. Somebody coming out of the backfield, a back coming up to pick him up in pass protection. Like, he's not shying down from contact. So he's got a physical nature to him, even though he's not a real thick, like, downhill thumper of a type backer. So he played out in space a little bit. I think they'll have a lot of different ways that they can use him. I think it's a good get for Texas A&M. Oklahoma gets SMU offensive lineman Brinson Hickman. 33 starts over his career. Watch some of his SMU film from last year where he was at center. And I'm not making the direct comp here, so don't get too overboard with that. But he's got some Creed Humphrey in him. Like, Creed was really good at staying compact. So he'd get his hands inside and kind of just sit on a guy and just ride him back and forth. He's pretty good at that. He's got a good punch. He's got good hands. He's a finisher. He finishes blocks. Now, does he play super heavy? No. I don't think he has a ton of lower body power. He's not necessarily moving guys off the line of scrimmage, but he understands his steps, his technique, his footwork, his fundamentals, blocking back. He knows how to wall guys off. Great job climbing to the second levels and getting on linebackers. I just think he's a good football player. You can tell he's played a ton of ball. So he just understands how to get guys blocks, and he finishes blocks. And the thing I like about him the most, like, he's got some prick in him in a good way. You're going to play that position, especially for Bill Beatenbow. You're going to need that. So I think this is actually, with everything that Oklahoma lost on their offensive line, this is a really good pickup. So Hickman, I think, out of SMU, going to be really solid for Oklahoma and a good pickup. He's got a ton of starts at center as well, so we can handle everything at the line of scrimmage. I would say we're playing for Rhett, somewhat similar system with what he's going to be in there with Seth Luttrell. So a good get up there for Oklahoma. Ole Miss goes and gets New Mexico running back Ja'Cory Krosky. Now, listen, 1,190 yards, 17 touchdowns last year. Dude can play. Watched number 5, a little bit of his film, pulled up a couple of games and watched it. He's a downhill runner. Now he's 5'11", like 208, plays bigger than that, runs taller than that, but he's a really good one-cut downhill guy. He's got a good feel for the zone scheme already, but one of those backs that can sort of get lateral in a hurry and then get north and south again because he keeps those shoulder pads square to the line of scrimmage. So he'll make those jump cuts where he's coming downhill, boop, straight over, and then bam, downhill right away. Good breakaway speed, not afraid of physicality. I love him in pass pro. I think it was the Utah State or Fresno State game, one of the two. They didn't hand the ball off for like the first 20 plays of the game. And he's just sitting there. He'll act as a lead blocker also. They had some quarterback runs, like a reverse or something, and he's out front searching contact. So physical, not afraid of contact. Explosive with the ball in his hand, downhill runner, good feel for the zone scheme. And I think we know Ulysses Bentley is going to be the first guy, but you need to offset that a little bit. Ja'Cory Krosky is going to be a guy who I think can help you do that. Like, it's from what I saw from him, I'm a fan of how he operates, how he runs. Maybe runs a tad tall, but it hadn't hurt him so far. And I think the physicality is going to help carry over to making him a good back in the SEC. And those other intangibles, when he doesn't have the football in his hand, I thought he was also good at. So just a couple portal pickups there I wanted to run through, give you an idea of what I saw in film and how they might be able to help some SEC teams coming up this fall. All right, guys, Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace for Major League Baseball, which makes it getting tickets easier and faster for any MLB that you want to go to. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. Killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, the lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. They've got flash deals. You can save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or any other event that you might be looking forward to. Priority last-minute deals save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. All-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows the total upfront, no surprise fees right there at checkout. The lowest price guarantee or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is going to be covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticket industry. Take the guesswork, guys, out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Use promo code CUBE, C-U-B-E. Save $20 off your first purchase. Super easy. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CUBE to get $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. I've used the Game Time app. I'm telling you, it's easy. It's efficient. You get exactly what you need. You see what it's going to look like from your seat, and you get the lowest price possible. Go download that Game Time app today. Use promo code CUBE, get 20% off. You won't regret it. All right, Mississippi State spring game. Great visit with Jeff Lebby. Great visit with Coleman Holzer, defensive coordinator. I like the staff. I asked Lebby, I was like, who's your FU guy? He's like, John Cooper. Played with him in college. Like, he's the guy that can come to me and right away say, stop doing that. We need to get away from this. Let's not do that anymore. One of the other cool things I thought Lebby told us was, I kind of asked him just about Starkville and being there. And he said, listen, man, like, this place kind of is me. I think there's a big misconception or misperception with Jeff Lebby in that, you know, he's 4 and 5 wide. He's throwing the ball down the field. He's going super fast and that he's kind of soft. and he's just not. Like Jeff Lebby's a ball coach, man. And like he's old school, he's rugged, he's hard-nosed, he's physical. And I think that part of his personality is a great fit for Mississippi State, a great fit for Starkville. And I think you'll see that come out. Coleman had a lot of experience in the SEC, whether it be Saban, Kevin Steele, Will Muschamp. Like he's been around some big-time defensive coordinators. And Lebby specifically said he wanted SEC experience with his D coordinator. He's got that. The offensive staff guys that have been with him, Cody Kinney, the offensive line coach, he worked with Kendall Browse at Arkansas, so very similar scheme. He knows that. And he's obviously going to be able to work those guys up front. They've done a pretty good job in the portal. And I feel pretty confident about what he's put together and kind of where they've gone so far. Still a long way to go, but there were some things that kind of stuck out that I liked. And we'll start kind of on offense. The offensive line. I went and watched some Ethan Minor coming in from Arkansas State in North Texas. He can play. He's a finisher. He understands angles, good hat placement, good hand placement, not a lot of power, kind of similar to Bronson Hickman that we talked about going to Oklahoma, but can just sit on a guy, stays in front of you, has played in the shotgun, a ton, like 29 starts at center. So he knows how to handle all of that. Somewhat similar system and scheme. So he's going to be fine there. I love that you have Marlon Martinez next to him at guard. So now you basically have two centers starting for your offensive line because Martinez was a center at LSU last year, basically won that job in the spring and then didn't have it in the fall. But I think he brings a little pop, and I think he's a guy that's going to be able to help. At left guard, Jacoby Jackson, a guy at Texas Tech that when you watch him, he's got some mean, he's got some nasty. Like he can really get after you. He and Albert Reese will be over at left guard. Reese will probably get the first go. He's a little bit bigger, a little bit more physical. Reese apparently has fallen into that leadership role as well. He was one of the first 2-3 guys that Lebby threw out when we asked him, like, who are the leaders on this team? Albert Reese was one of those guys. But Reese can go to right tackle to help if they need him to, and then Jacoby Jackson will be the first guy in. And I like Jackson's film at Texas Tech. When you watch him, like he's got good lateral movement. He's got good agility for a guy that's around 330 pounds. Plays a little bit high at times. Needs to work on some flexibility. But he gets after it too. Like he searches for work. Like he wants to find contact. And a guy that I think will fit right in mentally with where they want this team to be. Leon Belby at right tackle, a guy that I think that they believe from JUCO is going to be able to be solid and plug in right away. And then McKalen Pounders is over there at left tackle. Pounders looked great in the spring game. Memphis transfer, played a ton of football. He's had a really good spring, according to these coaches and Cody Kennedy, and a guy that they like, and a guy that if you go back and watch the spring game, I pointed him out multiple times. He had a couple really good blocks. So I think he'll lock down that side. And they're looking for kind of another swing tackle, like an Amari Smith or a Jimothy Lewis, who could maybe be that guy. Grant Jackson, another one that'll help out at tackle. I think the tackle numbers are great for Mississippi State. Actually, the offensive line numbers are pretty good. When you're talking about guys who are capable, that could come in and get you through a jam or help out or play somewhere else, they have more guys up front than a lot of SEC teams I'll talk about. And then the wild card is my guy, Jimmy Bell, that played basketball for Mississippi State this year. So you hear 6'10", 320, and I texted Lebby right when this happened. I'm like, where's this dude going to play? He's like, he's a left tackle for sure. You think 6'10", there's no way leverage they're going to win that. Like, that's not even possible. It's not going to happen. So I talked to Cody Kennedy about him a little bit for the game. He's like, Cole, if I had this kid for 2 years, long NFL career, like would be drafted early and play forever. Kid is from same neighborhood as Draymond Green. He's a Detroit guy, Michigan guy. He shoots his hands well. He had a ton of starts in basketball, played high school football. But here's the thing. He was one of the first guys that I looked for when we got on the field before the game. He doesn't look disproportional. Like he honestly doesn't look 6'10". Now, when you stand next to him, yeah, he's 6'10". Like he's up there, over 7 feet with the helmet and cleats on. But he doesn't look like one of those guys that's like, weird in pads and arms are way too long. Like his body's actually put together kind of perfect for a tackle body. Now, he's still going to be super long and tall, and it's going to be tough to get leverage a lot of times. But Cody told me, like, he's got good flexibility, and he wants to learn it. Like, he wants to do it. Like, Lebby and Cody both told me, like, this is not a joke. This is not something he's doing for fun. Like, he wants to try to make this work. I think he's got 1 year, so I don't know if he's going to be able to make it work this year. I don't know if he tries to get to another spot where maybe he can get some real reps and actually play. But I think he's an interesting story and kind of somebody who's interesting to watch because he's fluid, he moves well, and he's got a little bit of that asshole in him where you got to have that on the offensive line. I mean, you just do. So just kind of keep your eyes on him. Seydou Traore at tight end is a guy that they expect to have a big year. You saw him a little bit in the spring game. He was nice out wide in the slot blocking. They put him in line blocking. He's more than willing as a blocker, which you have to be if you're going to move around this offense. But he's somebody who can stretch the middle of the field. They want to feed him. They want to use him. And somebody who I think can affect safeties in the way they play this offense. This offense, when it has a guy like that, is when it goes to the next level. It can be good. It can score points. But when it's elite, you have a tight end that you can move around, force mismatch problems, help be physical, help be in the run game, and then stretch the middle of the field. Otherwise, you're just limited in certain areas. They think Cam Ball can help at tight end. He had a good spring. Justin Ball is going to help at tight end. The long Vanderbilt transfer, he had a couple touchdown catches in the spring game. He's got a little more physicality to him. And you still have Nick Lauderdale there, who last year was kind of your bonus big. He's more of your hard hat, lunch pail, dirty work, put him in line, goal line situation, like mow people down type tight end. So I love the tight end room. And I think the offensive line's in pretty good shape. The running back room, not a lot of wow for Mississippi State right now. Johnny Davis, Kevon Lee, Jeffrey Pittman, I think they're all super similar. I don't think there's one person that steps out and has an X amount more speed or has this much more wiggle or is this much better in pass protection. I think they all had a pretty similar spring. And there's just not a lot of separation with that group. Kevon Lee, the one that apparently did flash a little bit more than the others. But you saw Pittman make a couple plays in the spring game. Daniel's a guy that has a little bit of burst. I don't really know where they go there, but I know it's not going to be a wow position for them. I think they're confident they can run the football, but it's probably not going to be mainly due to a back just making people miss, running people over because he's that talented or that good. One of the keys to whether or not they can run the football is going to be what happens at quarterback, and not number one, but number two or number three, because Blake Shapen has some mobility inside of him, probably underrated mobility. Lebby told us that he's kind of Matt Corralish with the way that he can run. And you saw him kind of break down a couple times in the game. And I've seen him a couple times on film at Baylor. Like, he can scoot a little bit. And it's not a Jarrett Stidham where, he pulls it down and just because nobody's home, he can get 6 yards and slide. Like, he has pretty good mobility to break a defense down. Now, if that's the case and you're holding that backside defensive end in the backside corner or the wheel linebacker or that safety playing down the box has to pay attention to that. That changes everything front side. And when that happens, the RPO game can take the next step because you're freezing a lot of people in places that you want them and not where they want to be. But I think Blake Shapen has full control of this offense. He is the guy. He is number one. They want to find a number two. I'm not sure that number two is on the roster right now. Parsons got to find a way to get through his progressions a little bit better, make his reads a little bit better. If you go back and pay attention to this game and you go back and watch it, the things that you will see that will stick out that you probably weren't looking for originally are the operation of this offense. And when you see Blake Shapen drop, nothing there, throw ball away, or drop 1, 2, 3, check down, or drop pressure, check down. And then you see Parson, 1, 2, 3, look around, bail, scramble, 360, roll right. That's the difference. Is the confidence and the understanding of how to operate and manage the offense. Right now, Blake Shapen's in full control of that. He has a full grasp on how to do that and how to handle that. Parson does not. And you can see the panic in him even in that spring game. You cannot run this offense that way. It is a quick decision offense. It's quarterback friendly, and it can be, but it is a quick decision offense. I mean, a lot of what they do is tempo, go fast. You got to make quick decisions to get into the right thing and allow your playmakers to make plays. I don't think Mike Wright's going to be much of a factor at quarterback. I think he's been a great teammate, but I don't see him being a guy that they really lean on and ask to do a whole lot of things. They do like the freshman. Van Buren's somebody I think that they believe down the road can really help him. But I think right now it's asking a little bit much to think that he's going to step into that number two spot. And the reason they need to find the number two is to utilize the legs of Blake Shapen. Go back and watch Oklahoma last year. Dylan Gabriel didn't run the ball a whole lot. When he did, it was leaving the pocket. Almost no design runs, almost no plays where you're asking him to make a read and keep the football because they had to protect him. And Jackson Arnold wasn't ready early. So if you don't have anybody behind your quarterback that can at least get you out of a jam, get you through a couple of series, maybe get you through a half or a game or two that you have some confidence in, then you're going to pull the reins in on that quarterback and his mobility and what you ask him to do in the run game. And it's going to hurt your offense if you have to do that. So I do think that they want to be that, but a lot of that's probably going to depend on what happens through the summer with whoever else is on this roster, or if they can go get another guy. I think they want another quarterback. I think they want another running back. Receiver, would they take another one? Probably. O-line, take another one? Probably. That'll depend on who it is. You can never have enough O-line depth. So would they go get a guy? Yes. Receiver, do they need a guy? I really don't think so. But, I mean, you want 10 on scholarship, probably play 6 or 7. That's just kind of where I think Lebby wants this offense to be. So the receiver position, Kelly Akari, I had him at UTEP a couple times last year. The kid can flat play. 50-50 ball guy, thicker wide receiver. You saw him down the field a little bit in this game, but also showed you in this game the catch and run stuff can work. So he can take a hitch, make a guy miss, or run through a tackle and give you an explosive play. Kevin Coleman flashed a lot during the spring. He's sort of the option route guy that's got a lot of wiggle, made a couple of catches, close to a couple more catches in this game. I think he's a guy that can be a little bit of a mismatch problem for a lot of DBs in the SEC. Mario Craver is the freshman out of Birmingham. Clay Chalkville, apparently steal of the class. Really flashed during the spring, having the time of his life, working hard, loves being around the facility, and made a lot of plays in the spring. Made a couple big plays in the spring game. Clocked close to 22 miles an hour a few times in the spring as well. So 7, Mario Carver, keep an eye on that name as somebody who potentially could be a big help to Mississippi State this fall. The other 2 freshmen, J.J. Harrell, Braylon Burnside, like them. I think they can potentially help and be guys that do a lot for them. A lot of young receivers that could do a lot for this offense this year. Jaden Wally is still around. He was limited, had surgery in January, but he's a vet, and he's got good film out there. And Lebby even told us, like, he can help. If we can just get him right and get him going, he can help this offense. Jordan Mosley is going to help the offense as well. So, and then you didn't have Creed Whitmore out there, a guy that showed last year he can be somebody who really helps you a lot. So I feel good about the receiver position, man. And like, I'll go back to what I said when Heupel came in at Tennessee and people's like, what's the difference? How's it going to happen? These receivers aren't very good. I said, well, the number one thing you need to remember that's going to be different is opportunity. And what these Mississippi State receivers are going to have this year that they didn't have last year. Now, maybe 2 years ago and beyond that, they had a few more, but not as many down the field, opportunities to make plays. Like, this offense will give you more opportunities to score just based on inherently what it is at its core, in its DNA. So I look more at the opportunity that's going to be there for a lot of these guys and what they're going to have the potential to go prove and do, as opposed to just, can they do this? Can they do that? You know, against a certain player in the SEC. We don't know a lot of times because they either weren't there or they haven't been in the offense and be given the chance to go out there and do it. Now they will have the opportunity to put up some of those numbers. I feel a lot better about the offense. I really do. I think it's an offense, if they stay healthy, is going to be able to score. It's going to find ways to move the football. I think it's an offense that can stress you in different ways. They're going to have those receivers lined up out past the numbers. They're going to go tempo. They're going to go fast. You got multiple offensive linemen that can help you in different ways, an array of tight ends, which if you don't think the tight end's valuable in this offense, go watch Tennessee the last few years and watch how they use that position. It means a lot, but maybe in a more explosive running back would make a bigger difference, and they got to find a backup quarterback. Have to find a backup quarterback, or else I think that could limit the offense as much as anything else that we'll talk about. Truly, if they can't find that guy behind Blake Shapen. Don't forget about our friends at Blakely's Bouquets. You can find them online for all your florist needs, blakeleysbouquets.com. They help me out through Easter, spring. We got wedding season coming up. Obviously, Mother's Day. Get your orders in now for Mother's Day. Call 205-579-4900 right here in the Birmingham area. They deliver to all of Shelby and Jefferson County. For anything that you need, they've helped me out on multiple occasions. Great people, great arrangements. They have things in their shop right there you can go check out and take home. Downtown Edgewood and Homewood. Blakely's Bouquets. They are fantastic, wonderful people. go check them out on Instagram. Search Blakely's Bouquets and you'll see them and all the different things that they can do and help you with. Spring season is here, summer coming up, graduation, whatever you need flowers for, they're going to be able to help you. Subscription service coming soon. So don't forget to go check out my friends at Blakely's Bouquets. That's blakeleysbouquets.com, 205-579-4900. Defensively, I have my concerns. A little bit worried about it. I think up front, they could be okay. I think up front, DeMonte Russell showed you in the spring game, like he can make some plays. He can be a guy that causes some problems. Feel pretty good about him. Suleiman Paca was out, so we didn't really get to see him, but I've watched some of his Purdue film. I think he can help a little bit. He can do some things. Dontario Russell off the edge is an interesting character because Jack linebacker, you still got to play the run, and you got to set that edge. And he did it a little bit last year, but 220, 225 pounds doing it all season, it's a different thing. Now, rushing the passer, I think he can be solid. He's flexible. He's got twitch, long arms. Yes, he can help you there. And the good thing about this defense is they will be multiple. Lebby told us one of the things that he really wanted was a defense that didn't have to look the same way every week because he's coached against these SEC defenses before. So Coleman Holzer is going to go a little bit of 4-2-5. You're going to go a little bit of 3-4. Like he'll mix and match it and run some different things and different looks. And I think what he has to be in certain weeks, obviously, is going to depend on who plays and who helps. Deontay Anderson, who last year had pretty good games against LSU, Auburn, and Ole Miss. Like he's going to be a guy that helps inside. Saw Nick Mitchell flying around at linebacker a little bit in this game. He's more of that thumper type linebacker, can really get downhill, do some good things. JP Purvis was out, but he's the kind of vocal leader of the defense when he's in, and a guy that I think they're going to lean on and rely on. Calvin Dinkins wasn't out there as well. He can be someone that disrupts, that caused some problems up front, had a foot deal throughout spring. I think he can help a little bit. The secondary, I think they're still going to get a little bit of mixing and matching. Like Brian Lanier, football IQ off the charts. Came in as one of their best DBs. He'll play a little more star, but he can move to maybe a safety spot, played some corner as well. Bryce Pollock, who, by the way, incredible play when he punches the football out at the goal line. Like just a total heads up, brilliant play. I'm sorry, that was Tyler Woodard that punched the ball out. But Pollock's going to be a guy, Bryce Pollock's going to help him as well. Great attitude, anticipates, good football IQ. And I think you'll see between safety, star, corner, a couple of different DBs kind of move around, do some different things. Stone Blanton had a little bit of a growing. He didn't go much in the spring game, but a valuable asset, a linebacker that kind of comes in with what we're told, high-level IQ of football, good understanding of the defense, how to get guys lined up, how to do different things. John Lewis made a couple of plays. He'll help at linebacker and dime a little bit more also. So I think that when you talk about like a Travion Williams, has a chance. He's got a ton of potential. He's probably their best defensive lineman at the point of attack, like of causing problems right now with his hands. Zachary Tillman at linebacker could be a guy that sort of helps out, that flashed a little bit in the spring. So Brandon Jennings apparently had a good spring coming in from Hines Junior College. He potentially could be somebody that's out there going from, linebacker downhill, making plays, doing some different things. So I think your first 11 have a chance to be okay. I think you don't really have a lot of twitch up front. You don't have a lot of guys that are loose up front that are going to be able to win one-on-ones and be problematic. Now, like I said, Dontario Russell, can he do that on occasion when he's able to just pin his ears back and go get the quarterback? Yes. DeMonte Russell, probably a little bit could. Yeah, maybe. Maybe Travion Williams, but just not collectively. That's not what that group is. This is going to have to be sort of a hard hat, physical, make sure you're in the right place, fly to the football, kind of beat people up type defense. That's what I think it's going to have to be. I mean, the linebackers are all praised a little bit more for their IQ and physicality than maybe their twitch and their speed, which is fine. I mean, State's gotten away with that for a long time, playing that style of defense. And if you're scoring points, that's okay. You can sort of be that way. What I worry about is living in nickel and dime and the secondary numbers later in the season if teams are having to either keep up or make sure that Mississippi State doesn't catch them on the scoreboard. So the linebacker room was left in a good place. I mean, Jet and Buki were incredible. And I do think that the guys who were behind them for a couple of years have a better understanding than they're probably going to get credit for it. It may end up being, better players. But I mean, this is, Coleman told us straight up, like, you better love ball, you better bring energy every day, and you better be ready to fly around. Like, that's what his defense is going to be made of. Don't be surprised to see him attack maybe an individual at every level in the portal. Edge is going to be a priority. Just because I don't think you can have Dontarie Russell be your only guy out there. You've got to find somebody else that can show up and potentially go out there and do it. So it was a cool visit, man. Like Lebby told us about his sort of philosophy. Take the best players in a 5-hour radius. They don't want to build through the portal. He said, we'll probably have to be portal heavy the first year or two. That's normal when you're flipping a roster, but they don't want to be that moving forward. Fun, tough, competitive, and accountable. He said, those are 4 things they're going to have every day. And I love that. And like I said, I think when you ask your guys to have good energy and you make it fun, but it's going to be tough and physical, it's a good fit for being there. And, he's implemented the dog program to kind of get guys right, get guys ready to play. And I just think it's a good fit for what they are. And I almost think it's like a little bit of hybrid fit of old school State and then new school State with Mike Leach, because you'll have the offense, but the attitude is still going to be, we want to beat you up. And we're not backing down from any fight at any time. And then maybe the best quote that Lebby gave me the whole time that we were over there was when I asked him about special teams. Not that I really cared, that I wanted to get into and talk about it, but he said, hey, kick it through the uprights and don't punt. That's about it. So it is what it is. I think State has a chance to surprise some people. I'm not going to sit here and say 9 or 10 wins, nothing like that, but they have a chance to stack some wins early in the season. The Arizona State game's massive. That's a huge game for them. You get that one. Maybe you get 3 wins out of the gate, and not all these teams are going to trend up. So some teams on that schedule are not going to look like what they look like right now. And if you can score points in this league, man, you can be competitive. They're going to have to stay healthy at quarterback, and I think they're going to have to find a way to be a little bit more explosive out of the backfield. And these receivers need to stay healthy as well and need to show up in games. But there's a lot of pieces of this roster that I like. A lot of pieces of this roster I was surprised with. And I think the feel and the control of running the offense was probably a little bit ahead of schedule, which is all good news for Mississippi State fans, because I think it should give you some hope going into the season as to exactly what they can be. So Blue Delta jeans, I've told you about them before. Wear them all the time. Had some on for dinner over this weekend out at Old Waverly for the Mississippi State spring game. Richard Cross and I kind of hanging out. They're the best. Flexible. And actually, I was on the Big Boobcast live show in Birmingham, and they were making fun of some of the guys there not being able to go into full squat. And I got up on stage and showed them, like, look, I can do it right here. Thanks to our friends at Blue Delta Jeans. Stretchy, flexible, breathable, quality denim that looks amazing. It's going to be fit just for you. Go to bluedeltajeans.com and you'll be able to see exactly what they can do for you. They'll digitally fit you there. How about a gift card for Blue Delta Jeans? Mother's Day coming up, graduation coming up. Get that graduate set and a beautiful new pair of jeans to go out in the business world, go to interviews, whatever they need. You're going to love them. It's the only pair of jeans you're ever going to need. It's the only jeans I wear because they fit me for me. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Tell Nick and the guys you heard about them right here on Cube Show. That's it for this week. A couple portal guys, Mississippi State spring review, and Mississippi State spring game in the books. We've missed a ton. We're going to keep going back to them. So we will review all the teams and their spring games during the course of the show. So we'll be back with you next week. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We're almost at 10,000. Pate said we can't get there. We're trying to get there. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, like, rate, review. We always appreciate that. And we'll catch up with you next time.